Não. Estou pronto aqui para pôr ao vivo. Quiseres? Okay, so as you might have seen already, we're having some problems with internet connection. It has been going for a while. We will try to change this satsang to 1 hour before 9 o'clock Brazilian time, UTC -3. And let's see how it goes. So let's see if it holds. Okay. So if we could define the spiritual path in easy terms, enlightenment, self-realization, that process, it would be more or less, in practical terms, as emptying the mind fully, emptying it of all noise, and that means all what you call knowledge, and filling the heart with love, devotion, reverence, sacredness. The more one gets empty, the more the other gets filled. There is a connection between the two. As the mind is full, there is no room for love, devotion, reverence to fill. So complex philosophies come as a need for very complex mind. Very complex mind needs all these complex philosophies. A simple mind just needs love to love. It needs devotion just to fill in, fill in. So this emptying of the mind establishing silence. It is difficult because of these wrong associations, identifications with it. And the big knots that keep all this circus going is fears, attachments, hatreds, even conditional love, or specially conditional love. And all these knots have to be uh, left aside, dissolved. It's practically the same. Leaving aside, apart from putting under the rug, brings dissolution. So this part of filling the heart with love, this is more or less the easy part, the sweet part. Everybody is going after this, but this correlation with one and the other, this is not really understood, because there's so much that you can take in, and the quality of what you can take in depends directly of the noise that it is still there on the mind. So whatever comes that touches your world and takes off your balance, it is that which has touched all these noise, all the noise that is in the mind, all these attachments, fears, hatreds, all of these things. So whatever comes that makes you unstable, it is revealing the noise that it is still there. And without going through this, it is impossible to continue and to really grow spiritually. To drink, to fill your heart's content. So there are a lot of you that are working hard, sincerely, in what you consider to be sincere. But you are still letting go, uh, pushing aside, but not a side that will dissolve, but a side under the rug. Those attachments that are there, fears that are there, and whatever you can grow, it is being limited by those things that you are purposely not touching. And most of you even get to a point where you don't know what else to do. But still, you're not touching in these things. You're concentrating in your spiritual practices, thinking that they are not connected. These things are not connected. So the spiritual practices, they bring to light circumstances where you can face your fears, to get that you may get rid of your attachments. So it brings the circumstances where you can exercise your freedom towards whatever aspect is being brought. You don't need to wait for meditation to bring you this, for those things that you already know that are there, that need to be corrected, overcome. And whenever you know what fear is there, what attachment is there, whatever is there, whenever you know that something which is there has to be overcome, this must become your number one goal. And as long as you don't conquer this, nothing else is important. Because by going through the test which is in front of you, whatever it is, this is what opens the door to the next level. Allows you for your cup, the cup that you gather and fill with love and devotion and reverence. It allows for the cup to become bigger and bigger and bigger. Whatever you think is love, it is a very, very small idea from what it really is. Very, very tiny one. And that is because of your cup. So your cup needs to increase. But if you allow fears to be there and not touching them, not doing anything about them, attachments to be there, dreams for the future to be there, and all these things, then your cup will continue to be small. And whatever you're trying, well, it can seem plenty, but then other bigger realizations, they don't have any room. So one of the big obstacles is to put these things aside and to keep up, to continue the path, but not touching these things. And this is self-deception, because when you know it is there, it is your responsibility to do something about it. It is your guidance in a way that is telling you, you're aware of this, now do something. And the right attitude is to continue and do nothing else until you are free from that, until you have overcome that situation, that fear, that attachment, whatever it is. And if you don't, if you allow these things to continue and you do nothing about it, well, you see, it's like when you're going after love, devotion, spiritual practices, all of this, you can take it as you are embracing the light, what is called the good, the light, the divine, and all of this. And by leaving these things aside, what are you embracing then? If you're allowing for darkness, for illusion to remain there, so what is your big message to the divine? Just think about it. So the right attitude, bear this in mind, the right attitude, as you know that something is there that shouldn't be, your response should be immediate to that. Full dedication until liberation, overcoming that obstacle, and not allowing it to remain there, just remaining there, not doing anything about it. It should be intense, and it shouldn't stop until it is solved, because this opens the next level and the next level and the next level. The cup increases, increases, increases. I also just walking in circles, circles. And yes, and through time, um, the personality becomes more soft, more lovingly, and all these things. And that is not really a good thing, because the possibilities that were hidden, that were lying there in a dormant state behind these things, while the personality was not adapt, they go away. So if you're in the beginning of your quest and you're trying to meditate and all of this, bear in mind, if you want to bring intensity to your process, whatever you're recognizing as fears and attachments, superficial ones, simple, it doesn't matter. Whatever you are recognizing, it is an indication, a clear indication of what needs to be sorted out. And by doing that which you already seen, this will open up things that are not really accessible. It will expand your vision. It will make you ready for the next level, and so on and so on and so on. So this is very important, and this will also prepare you for that, for those deep-seated, uh, deep-rooted fears, attachments, and all these things, because you go through from the superficial to the most profound ones. And by going through the first layers, this will prepare you for the next ones and the next ones and the next ones. If this is really what you want, because seekers bring a lot of ideas about the spiritual path, but then some of them realize that it was not really what they were looking for. And it's okay. But if you want to bring some intensity, if you want to make your process real, you cannot put aside all these very important revelations, all these obstacles, because they are the steps towards the next level. And the next level, it's like a rising path, not a straight line where the next level is a few meters ahead or something like this. It is higher and higher and higher. And as you clean up the most superficial ones, you will find things that you never even realized that were there. And by not realizing them, how could you possibly imagine where you had to go through? It's impossible. So whatever is standing in front of you opens the door towards the future, towards the next step, until no more steps are needed. And the way you can test your silence is the impact that things have uh, in you. Whatever is happening around you, whatever appears to be happening, what is the impact that these things have on you? If if your world gets unbalanced very easily, or it is very difficult, if it gets unbalanced just by any random situation or by specific ones, and this will show you if you're dealing in superficial noise, and that is more or less in the beginning. So anything random, there's a vast number of things that take your balance, or if it is specific ones. And this vision of what is there to do, if it comes into the realm of is it worth it or not, then probably you're not fit yet for the path, because it doesn't matter the size of the mountain that is there in front of you to climb. If the most important thing is to get to the top and surrender yourself to the sun, then it doesn't matter. Whatever mountain is there, you will start your climbing now. If you're not really into the sun yet, maybe you'll reflect a little bit and do something else in the meantime. But going up that mountain, all these weights have to be left behind. So in the beginning, more or less preparation, it is to take care of all these superficial attachments, superficial fears. And as they come to your attention, as you recognize them, it is very important for you to dedicate yourself completely to that. Or else you're the obstacle in your spiritual path, because you're allowing that which is stopping you, which is blocking you, you are allowing it to be there. And the more you intensify your spiritual practices, it is expected that all these circumstances appear to take your balance, to go against what you're doing, and all these things, to reveal, to make you aware of the blockages, of the importances that are still there and need to be removed. So all these things, they are important. If you're dreaming about starting spiritual practices and everything is nice, beautiful, well, then maybe you'll be surprised, because if it is serious, then confusions will be there for sure. And whatever you need according to your own blockages, to your own delusion, it will come. And the more bitter the medicine, the more bigger the wound, the disease. But that's not a problem, because every disease has a cure, in this case at least. So bitter or sweet, the attitude of a seeker of truth should be, if he had the understanding, should be of gratitude, no matter what it is coming. Because no matter how difficult it is blessing. Because if it is coming, it is giving you an opportunity. So nothing bad on site. The only thing bad that is if you reject it, if you turn your back on it. Then yes, you're turning your back to your real self, to greatness, to the divine. And the beginning part of the quest for truth, at least what you remember as the beginning, it is very important because there's very little adaptation from the character to this spiritual uh, context. And that is good because when this adapting is there, when you've been so long, then it becomes more difficult. So the intensity has to be in the beginning, or it will become more difficult to bring it on, more difficult, more difficult. And it's difficult to bring it on because there is not even a point to bring it on. Because the fragility will increase if you're not fighting these things, if you're not working to get rid of them, to overcome them, they will become bigger and your weakness will increase. So the beginning stages, it is very important to set the pace. And it is there where you make a difference. So this idea of waiting to be prepared, there's no real preparation for the real process. Either you embrace it or you don't. But preparation, so setting the pace in the beginning, it is very important. So all these fragilities that you recognize already, they are your directions. They are showing you what needs to be taken care first. So at the same time that you are intensifying your spiritual practices, eyes closed, for example, eyes open, you are focusing on dealing with these fears, deep fears, superficial, more deep, whatever is there in front of you, and attachments and whatever you recognize as being there, hatreds, negativities, all of these things, they have to be removed. And there's this idea that, well, if I'm not able, if not, so I will do something else. It is an interesting idea, but people tend to forget more or less that what has brought them to the path, what has brought them to the quest, the suffering, the lack of importance in anything else, a lot of things. But usually it is about suffering and this lack of purpose. This becomes a big suffering. And when they are confronted with a bigger suffering in that moment, they tend to go back. But where are they going back to? Suffering. Bigger one, actually. So the more mature the seeker is, the more he acknowledges that there is not really a choice. And that is a good thing. But leaving things behind, untouched, this is not realistic in terms of the thirst for truth, the thirst for the real process. Leaving these things behind, it doesn't help. And behind them, there are so many other things that don't come to light because you're not touching it. And by the other hand, you push, for those who can push, who can work spiritually speaking and all of this, you are intense, you are doing things, but you're avoiding those ones. So where can it go? And this is why uh, certain decisions, certain choices have to be made, not for the choice itself. People ask, oh, should I stay here? Should I go somewhere? What should I do? And all of this. Well, some say it is important, others say it doesn't matter, but it matters if it matters. It doesn't matter if it doesn't matter. And what does this mean? If the circumstances, certain circumstances are needed for you to uh, remove certain obstacles, then it makes a big difference. So, for example, if fears are arising because of a choice that is there to be made, then those fears arising, they tell you that, well, there's something to be learned here. There's something to grow with this. If you're avoiding that, you're avoiding growth, you're avoiding more silence. So what are you embracing? Delusion, pain. It is a simple equation. And the more you can go through your fears and attachments, the more you'll be able to see that you're not as weak as you thought you were, that reality, your vision of reality, has nothing to do what the vision can be. Those limitations that you experience and were completely real, you will see that they are not. Were just relative to that state of understanding, to that state of awareness. And this is how delusion stops losing its power over you. Because if you already went through a lot of these things and you're steady and all of this, but at the same point you're protecting just those two or three things that are there, still are important. Everything else is taken care of. Good, that is the good part. But if you're protecting this, then you're stuck. So the difference between a seeker of truth and a seeker of well-being, it's not a constant situation. The seeker of truth always persists. Doesn't matter how difficult, how time it takes, uh, how intense it is, he will persist. Turning back is not an option. So sometimes you get yourself into a situation, either in the beginning or after some time of spiritual practices. But usually in the beginning, if it is a serious quest, then these things come a lot in the beginning. There's unavoidable decisions, choices that bring these fears of dependency, of being alone, of a lot of things. And that's the importance of it. But it doesn't matter if it is the beginning or a little bit after a little bit of time or almost in the end of your journey, if it is there, if these things are still there, they will eventually come. And for those who are in a hurry, that is the map. But don't let your map get cold. So this is why it is important for you to embrace it as it comes. And the more you embrace it immediately as it comes, the faster things will get. If you let it be, if you take your time and all of this, then it gets cold and it doesn't bring you much. Because even if you are the most detached person of the world, it doesn't mean that you're a seeker of truth. It doesn't. If you're not in the quest, really in the quest for the divine, well. So this intensity comes with the intensity you show, the intensity that you embrace all these tests that come to you. And whatever is coming, if it is bringing to surface your fears, well, everything is going accordingly. If whatever you're doing is not bringing your fears, attachments up, well, then maybe you should rethink a little bit because things are not in the proper place. Okay, so next satsang will be Friday. We will try 9 a.m. here, Brazilian time, UTC -3, to see if our internet gets better. And we apologize for whatever inconvenience are there because it has been going for a while. But we'll see. In where we are, it is difficult to have internet, but it is being too unstable for the usual, for the normal. If you have any questions, you can send through WhatsApp or through the chats, and I will answer when it is possible. So for today, it will be everything. It's all. So intensify your practices, make them count. And make them count not just for the practices, but by paying attention to all these things that I brought your attention now, because this is fundamental. Okay, so until Friday, keep up the work.